You've probably chatted with an AI, right? But what if it could do more than just talk? What if it could actually do things for you? Well, today we are diving deep into AI agents. And trust me, this is one of the biggest leaps forward in AI we've seen.
So, yeah, we're all familiar with chatbots. They're awesome for answering questions, finding info. But this question right here, this is what changes everything. What happens when AI stops just being a conversation partner and starts being an action partner? That's the huge shift we're going to break down.
And this slide nails the difference. A chatbot is reactive. You ask, it answers. Simple. But an AI agent? It's proactive. You don't just ask it a question, you give it a goal. Think of it like this. A chatbot can give you a recipe for a cake. An AI agent will actually go to the store, buy the ingredients, and bake the cake for you. See the difference? Okay, so how in the world did we get here? This didn't just happen overnight. To really get why AI agents are such a big deal, we've got to take a quick look back at their origin story. It's a really cool evolution, from basically simple toys to these truly autonomous systems. The easiest way to think about it is in 3 stages. First, you had rule-based AI. You know, like a toy robot that says the same thing every time you press a button. Then, bam, generative AI like ChatGPT came along. A massive leap. Now the robot has read the entire internet and can talk about anything. But it's still just talking. Agentic AI is that final step. It's the robot that not only understands your goal, but can actually figure out how to get it done all by itself. That word, proactive, that is the agent's absolute superpower. Let's say your goal is a light bulb. A simple AI just looks at the light bulb and tells you about it. An agent sees that same light bulb and instantly starts mapping out how to build a lamp, find a power source, and flip the switch. It thinks ahead. It's a true partner, not just a passive tool. And this little story makes it crystal clear. Let's say you're planning a party, and you have 2 helpers. Savian is our traditional AI. You tell him to buy decorations, and that is exactly what he'll do. Nothing more. But Alden is our AI agent. You just mention party, and he's off to the races, suggesting themes, ordering food, sending invites, even checking RSVPs. One is a task doer, the other is a full-blown project manager. So how do they actually do all this? I promise it's not magic, even if it feels like it sometimes. There's a real structure inside, a kind of digital brain. So let's pop the hood and see how these things actually think and act. It really boils down to these 3 core functions. To work, an agent has to be able to plan a course of action, remember what it's done and learned, and most importantly, it needs the ability to act on that plan. Let's break each of those down real quick. First up is planning. You can think of this as the agent's inner strategist. So if you give it a huge goal, like get the monthly sales report ready, it doesn't just panic. It breaks it down into a to-do list. First, I'll get the data from here. Second, I'll run the calculations. Third, I'll make the charts, and so on. It creates the roadmap.
Next up, memory. This is so critical. Without memory, an agent would have the attention span of a goldfish. Short-term memory helps it keep track of what it's doing right now, step by step. And long-term memory? That lets it learn from past jobs, remember your preferences, and just get smarter over time.
And here is where it gets really exciting. Tools. Look, an agent can think and plan all day, but without tools, it's stuck inside its own head. Tools are its hands and feet. They're the connections that let it use other software, to send an email, to book a meeting on your calendar, to search a database. This is how an agent actually does things. And it all comes together with execution. This is the moment the agent puts everything into motion. It's got the plan, it's using its memory for context, and now it's picking up its tools to actually carry out the plan. This is where strategy becomes reality. All right, so that's the tech behind the curtain. But what does this actually mean for you, for businesses, for everyone? Let's get out of the theory and into the real world to see why this matters so much. And the truth is, agents are already here working behind the scenes. Think about it. That really tricky customer support issue, an agent can now walk through the entire troubleshooting process. Qualifying new sales leads, an agent can have those first few conversations to see if they're a good fit. From scheduling to IT help to even assisting with scientific research, they're tackling the complex stuff. And the impact is real and measurable. Take this example. A software company started using an AI agent to handle their initial sales inquiries. By having better, faster conversations and only passing the best leads to the human team, they saw their conversion rates shoot up by 35%. That is a massive bottom-line difference. Now, maybe you're thinking, this is amazing, but I'm not a software engineer. Well, here's the best part. You don't have to be. Thanks to a new wave of no-code platforms, building your own custom AI agent is something pretty much anyone can do. I love this quote because it just perfectly captures the new partnership. It's not about replacing humans. It's about a new division of labor. We, the humans, provide the strategy, the creativity, the judgment, and the agents, they handle the execution. They do the legwork. And just look at this comparison. It tells the whole story. The old way, coding it from scratch, could take months and required a whole team of experts. The new way, with a no-code platform, you're talking hours or days. And check out that last number, an 85% lower error rate. Why? Because you're dragging and dropping, not writing thousands of lines of code.
So where would you even begin? It's a pretty simple 5-step process. First, you have to define its purpose. Be super clear. What one job will this agent do? Then you pick your platform. Third, you build the actual logic, the workflow. And this is key. Step 4 is you test and refine it like crazy. Don't skip this. And finally, you deploy it and keep an eye on how it's doing so you can make it even better.
Now hold on. Before we all run off and build an army of agents, we have to talk about doing this the smart way. Because with this much autonomy comes great responsibility. We have to think about safety first.
There are some new kinds of risks to watch out for. Prompt injection is basically tricking the agent into doing something bad. Tool misuse is giving it access to things it doesn't need, like your entire company database. Memory poisoning means feeding it bad info that messes up its future decisions. And goal misalignment, that's when the agent does its job perfectly, but it was the wrong job to begin with.
But don't worry, you can absolutely manage these risks. Here's your safety checklist. Start with a really simple, low-stakes task. Put up strict guardrails on what tools and data the agent can touch. Crucially, keep a human in the loop to approve any major actions. And finally, log everything it does so you always have a record.
So when you boil it all down, what's the key takeaway? It's this. AI agents aren't really about replacing tasks. They're about accelerating outcomes. They're force multipliers. They take care of the tedious, multi-step work so that you can focus on the big picture, fundamentally changing how much one person or one team can accomplish.
Look, we are at the very beginning of a brand new way of working where we collaborate with these intelligent, autonomous partners. The tech isn't science fiction anymore. It's here today. You essentially have a new digital employee waiting for you. So the only question left is, what's its first assignment?